welcome to ZB Sports.
I think the Sixers' biggest needs in the offseason would be from trade acquisitions or in the draft. And their needs are they might need a backup point guard, a hybrid four, or a backup center because they lack in shooting, especially because Ben Simmons, the point guard, we know that. And Josh Richardson, he's really streaky, and it depends when if he's on or off. And Glenn Robinson and Alec Burks, they're getting older. They're not that good of a shooter. And Tobias Harris is supposed to be one of probably our best shooter, and he really can't shoot that well otherwise. We need someone that can shoot around like 40% and be able to play defense because Furkan might be able to shoot that 40%, but he's a real liability on defense, almost like J.J. Redick was. What's your take on that?
I agree with you in the fact the 76ers' biggest need is definitely they need a 3-and-D type player. They need a consistent shooter. So a couple different options, like Brandon said, is the draft, free agency, and trade acquisitions. A couple players in the draft that I was looking at are Aaron Naismith out of Vanderbilt, Saddiq Bey out of Villanova, and Emmanuel Quickley out of Kentucky. All three of these guys were pretty consistent shooters. Aaron Naismith might not fall to the Sixers at 21.
Same with
But you look at his past season, he shot 52% from three, and he took 8 3-pointers a game.
Yeah, that's incredible shooting. Like, that is someone we would need, but the chances of him falling to that spot.
ESPN, he's projected the fifth. I believe he's the 15th overall prospect, and we have the 21st pick. So it's possible he falls to us, but it's more likely that we get Saddiq Bey, which ESPN has him listed as a power forward because he's 6'8", but this guy's a shooting guard, small forward type player who is also a really good defender at Villanova. And you look at his three-point percentage, dramatically rose from his freshman year to this year to shooting 45% from three on about 6 3-pointers per game. So that's another really good shooter who played good competition in the Big East. And finally, Emmanuel Quickley.
He showed outstanding progression while playing there too. He was the leader of the team. He went from averaging 8 points and doubled it into 16 points in just his freshman to sophomore year. And also his freshman year, he played a little less, and he definitely wasn't the number one option as much to say. So he definitely grew as a person, and you can see his shooting definitely increased because his free throw percentage even went up 13%. So he's showing increasing about the board, and he's athletic and he's long too.
He's 6'8", which is a good size.
Yeah. The problem is he could be taken. He's a 19th best prospect, but he could fall like 15. You never know. It really
depends. So
these are two. And in this era, a lot of people want shooters, and honestly, he might be top 5 shooter in the draft.
So those two guys are like dream case scenarios for the Sixers. But if they fall to us or to the Sixers, that would be awesome. But a guy to look at in the second round would be Emmanuel Quickley, because
I really like him.
This dude increased his play a lot as well. He went from averaging 5 points to 16 points, shooting 43% from three, 92% from the foul line.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players at watching at Kentucky, and he's still not like the focal point on the offense, but you increase 15 minutes being played, and he's averaging crazy numbers. He's averaging 43% from three, and he's only attempting like 5, but he's making 2 of them a game, which is pretty incredible.
And John Calipari said that Emmanuel Quickley is one of the hardest workers he's ever seen, that he's always in the gym nonstop, and that is the type of player that a franchise wants on their roster.
If Saddiq Bey doesn't happen and Naismith doesn't happen, which could be less of a chance, this guy is a steal in the second round, in my opinion, for the Sixers roster, especially because he's a hard worker and he's really athletic too, which the Sixers need athleticism.
So if we look into free agency now, the top 7 players listed that by CBS Sports aren't really realistic in the price range for the Sixers. But if you look at 7, 8, and 9, I mean, Fournier might be a little expensive too, but Bogdan Bogdanović and Joe Harris are good options in free agency of shooters.
Yeah, I think I don't see Joe Harris moving though, especially because with Kevin Durant in there, they're going to want another shooter on the outside, which I think he'll stay there. And Bogdan Bogdanovic, I would really like, and I feel like he could be pried off of the Kings. I mean, he's a free agent, but I feel like we could definitely get him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good option. I know the Sixers expressed interest in him during the season or while the season was still happening. Only thing with him is he's a restricted free agent. So we could offer him a contract and the Kings could match it and he would still be a member of the Kings.
Yeah, and I don't know about Bogdanovic. If you could get someone athletic in the draft, because if we're looking for someone defensively, he's not – I feel like he's not the best.
I agree with you there. And then the other option that has been rumored for the Sixers is the possible trade for Buddy Hield, another member of the Kings. Now, Buddy Hield just signed a 4-year, $90 million extension with the Kings this past offseason.
And
so that's expensive. So we would have to the Sixers would have to give some stuff up to get him. What's your take on that?
Yeah, they definitely have to give stuff up, but I don't think Buddy Hield's happy where he is. I mean, he got placed on the bench and was coming off a roll, which obviously he's putting up starter numbers. I mean, he shoots an incredible shot from three. He's 27, so he's still as valuable years.
He's in his prime.
Yeah,
he's still in his prime.
A great acquisition for the Sixers.
Now,
one of the best shooters in the NBA.
He is. He won the three-point contest as well. But what would the Sixers have to give up to get this guy?
They would have to give up a good amount, and you can't really throw in Al Horford. The contract it's a lot of money, and you saw Al Horford's productivity go down.
Well, you could argue that was because he's playing with another inside dominant player in Joel Embiid. And if you look at the Kings roster, they got a young Marvin Bagley, a young Harry Giles. Those are two players that could be developed into solid players. And Vlade Divac, you remember their GM, it played as a center in the NBA. So I could see him taking in Al Horford, an older player who has a lot of experience to help develop these young guys on their roster. But he's expensive, so it's going to be tough. It's not just going to be Al Horford for Buddy Hield. We'll probably the Sixers would have to throw in picks or.
I think we have to put Al Horford, Josh Richardson, because they need some kind of guard back.
No, they would never. The Sixers would not do that.
I would do that. I would give up Josh Richardson and
Josh Richardson. That's stupid.
I don't think Josh Richardson's that good of a player, to be honest with you. He shows signs of life when he plays his former team in Miami Heat, but then he never shows up in every other game. If you look at his statistics, he is not elite. And if you have Buddy Hield there, I'd rather him chucking up every shot that Josh Richardson ever puts up. Because
that's an argument for another day.
Okay, but you have Ben Simmons. You already don't need that shots. Like Al Horford doesn't shoot as much because we already have too many shot creators on their team. So just taking away Richardson and Horford, now you have Ben Simmons, Buddy Hield, Tobias Harris, and then you draft that power forward or 3-4 guy that can fit in, and then you have Joel Embiid, which I would really like as a roster.
Josh Richardson and Al Horford is way too much to give up. We just got Josh Richardson, who is still a young player too, who battled injuries like a nagging hamstring all year. So that's tough to go through. And you're forgetting Josh Richardson is a really good defender.
Yeah, he is.
So
I can agree with that,
and he shot well last year. He's still fitting into a new system. I know he played most of the season, but you can't give up on him this quick.
I know. But
Al Horford and Joel Embiid's a different story because they never gelled together, which is why I understand Al Horford. But Josh Richardson, you got to give him time.
Yeah, but he has to develop a better three-point shot because we need a shooter really bad because the offense is too congested with a Ben Simmons that doesn't shoot threes and Al Horford and Joel Embiid. So, if we could get around without giving up Josh Richardson, that's great, and just give up Al Horford and picks. But, the probability of that is most not likely because I don't think he would give up that much for Al Horford.
I think the Kings would accept Al Horford and maybe not this year, but next year's first-round pick.
I would give up the next year's first-round pick.
Well, we don't know what the trade would be, but we both think it would include Al Horford.
All right, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and follow for more. We're doing a Brett Brown. Should he be fired? Thanks for watching.